The marketplace on Station Epsilon 7 hummed with the discordant symphony of 1,000 alien voices. Jassy walked through the crowd with the practiced ease of someone who had seen too many worlds and too many wars. His scarred hands hung loose at his sides, but his eyes, those sharp, calculating eyes, missed nothing. He stopped at a textile vendor's stall, running his fingers across a bolt of synthetic fabric. When he heard it, the sound was unmistakable. Humiliation wrapped in the cruel laughter of those who believed themselves superior. 3 Velcrin merchants surrounded a figure near the back of their shop. The Velcrin were tall, crystalline beings who controlled much of the station's commerce. Their bodies refracted light in dazzling patterns, beautiful and cold as winter stars. At the center of their mockery stood Lily. Jassy had never seen one of her kind before, but he knew immediately what she was. The scales that caught the light like polished emeralds, the ridge of elegant spines running down her neck, the golden eyes that held both fire and sorrow, a draconi. The dragon people were legends even in the outer colonies, a proud species that had supposedly vanished centuries ago. Your credit chip is declined again. Creature, the lead Velcrin said, his translator rendering his words in mocking tones. Perhaps you should return to whatever backwater spawned you. We don't accept promises here. Lily's jaw tightened, her clawed hands clenching the small package she'd been trying to purchase. I have transferred the funds. Your system must be. Our system is perfect, another Velcrin interrupted. Unlike you primitives, we don't make mistakes. Now leave before we call security. The third merchant snatched the package from Lily's hands. Consider this compensation for wasting our time. Something old and familiar stirred in Jassy's chest. He'd seen this before on a dozen worlds across 3 wars. The strong crushing the weak, the entitled humiliating the desperate. He'd sworn after his discharge that he was done fighting other people's battles. But some things, he'd learned you couldn't walk away from. Excuse me, Jassy said, his voice cutting through the tension like a vibroblade through silk. He stepped into the shop, positioning himself beside Lily. Is there a problem here? The Velcrin merchants turned their attention to him, their crystalline faces reflecting annoyance. This is not your concern, human. Move along. Funny thing about humans, Jassy said, his tone conversational but his stance unmistakably martial. We have this terrible habit of making things our concern. He pulled out his own credit chip, the black one, reserved for veterans of the frontier wars. I believe the lady was making a purchase. I'll cover it. The lead Velcrin's expression shifted as his optical sensors registered the chip's designation. Black chips meant 2 things. Substantial credit and a service record that demanded respect. Or at least caution. That won't be necessary, Lily said quietly beside him, pride threading through her voice like steel through stone. I can pay my own way. Jassy glanced at her, saw the fire in those golden eyes, the refusal to be pitied. He respected that. I'm sure you can, he said. But they've already insulted you. Let me rob them of their profit instead. Call it my entertainment for the day. The Velcrin merchant's crystalline features hardened. The price has changed. 1,500 credits now. For a package of medical supplies that retails for 200. Jassy smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. That sounds like price gouging. Station regulations are very clear on that. Section 7, subsection 4. Fines start at 10,000 credits. He paused. Or we could settle this at the original price and I forget to file a complaint with the Commerce Authority. The silence stretched. The Velcrin knew they were beaten. With barely concealed rage, the lead merchant processed the transaction and thrust the package toward Lily. A pleasure doing business, Jassy said cheerfully, pocketing his chip. Outside the shop, Lily turned to face him. Up close, she was magnificent. Easily 6.5 feet tall, with an otherworldly grace that spoke of both power and refinement. I didn't need your help, human. I know, Jassy said simply. But I offered it anyway. Name's Jassy. She studied him for a long moment, those golden eyes seeming to peer straight into his soul. Whatever she saw there must have satisfied her, because her expression softened fractionally. Lily, and thank you. Even if it was unnecessary, you're welcome even if you didn't need it. He started to walk away, then paused. Listen, I don't know your situation and it's none of my business, but I've been on this station for 3 months and I've yet to find anyone interesting to talk to. If you're not busy tonight, there's a decent human restaurant on level 19. Real food, not the synthetic garbage most places serve. Lily's head tilted, surprise evident in her posture. "You're inviting me to dinner?" "I am." Jassy met her gaze evenly. "Come, tonight you'll dine with me. No obligations, no expectations. Just two people sharing a meal and maybe some conversation. The way I figure it, anyone who stands up to Velcrin merchants has stories worth hearing." For the first time since he'd seen her, Lily smiled. It transformed her face, made her look less like a warrior and more like someone who remembered how to hope. "You know nothing about me. I could be a criminal, a fugitive. Could be," Jassy agreed. "I was a sniper in the frontier wars. Killed more beings than I care to count. We've all got our histories, Lily. Question is whether we're brave enough to write new chapters." She laughed then, a sound like wind chimes forged from starlight. "You're either very foolish or very wise, Jassy. In my experience, the two aren't mutually exclusive." He pulled up his communicator, transmitted the restaurant's coordinates. 1900 hours. If you show up, great. If you don't, no hard feelings. As he walked away through the crowded marketplace, Jassy felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Anticipation. Behind him, Lily stood clutching her medical supplies, watching the scarred human disappear into the throng with an expression that mixed bewilderment and curiosity. Perhaps, she thought, the universe still held surprises. Perhaps humans were more than the primitive warmongers her people's old record suggested. Perhaps this Jassy was exactly what the old dragon legend spoke of, a warrior with honor, rare as starfire and twice as precious. At 1900 hours precisely, Lily arrived at the restaurant on level 19. Jassy was already there, waiting at a corner table with a view of the stars beyond the station's viewports. They dined together that night, two outcasts in a galaxy that had no place for dragons or war-weary soldiers. They talked until the restaurant closed and then talked more over coffee in the observation deck. And when the stars wheeled overhead, ancient and indifferent to the dramas of mortal beings, Lily and Jassy discovered something that neither had been looking for but both desperately needed. A friend who understood what it meant to be alone in the infinite dark. Sometimes, salvation comes not with thunder and glory, but with a simple invitation. "Come, tonight you'll dine with me."